Is there a corner that's worthwhile of the Bears to consider at 9 or in the top 20, just in case they wanted to, for the spot opposite Jalen Johnson?
Guys, I had an article come out this morning, and in that article, I talked to 10 different NFL scouts, and I asked them to do a mock draft. So a guy from one team was the Titans, another team was the Browns, and the rule was they couldn't be a scout for their own team. I just did the top 10. When I got to the Bears at 10, Ashton Genty was off the board. The top tight ends were on the board. Top defensive tackles other than Mason Graham were on the board. And this scout took Will Johnson, the corner from Michigan. So I do think that there is and that's a little rich just based on what I've heard. Will didn't have a very good pre-draft process because of the turf toe that he missed half the season with and then the hamstring issue. But he's a really, really good player. And when he was on the field this year, he had 2 picks. He took both back for touchdowns. And when he played in 2023, he looked like one of the best corners in the country. So it's a little bit like Derek Stingley Jr. If you remember that pre-draft process, folks were just crushing this guy of, oh, he can't stay healthy. We don't know how fast he is. He was the number 3 pick in the draft, and now he's one of the best corners in the league. And he was picked ahead of Sauce Gardner, who at the time that was kind of controversial. So I think with Will, he might slip a little bit in the draft and maybe even a little bit later than 10, but he's going to be a really good player. And opposite Jalen and Kyler, it would be fun because I think his size allows him to play off. Like that's where he's best, is playing almost in his zone, being able to read corners and being able to read receivers. And he's so good at jumping routes and making something happen, forcing those turnovers and flipping the field.
Matt, how far is the gap between Genty and your next running back versus what could be available for the Bears at, let's say, tackle and the next tackle that would be available in that 10 spot?
So I have Genty at 3 overall. He's blue chip, super special. I have a Marion Hampton at 19 overall. So there's a pretty big divide between those guys. And it's really the difference between like an elite player and a good player. I think at tackle, my top tackle is Kelvin Banks. He's my number 8 overall guy. But then I have Membo at 10 and Will Campbell at, I think, 11. I'm going off memory here, so those might be off 1 or 2 spots. But I know Banks is number 8 and Membo is number 10. So I like those guys all similarly. The difference is Membo's only played right tackle. 30-some starts in college, only played right tackle. Campbell, you're going to have the conversation about the shorter wingspan, the shorter arm length. The upright stance makes me worry about moving him to guard because he does play almost standing straight up at left tackle. So that would be a little bit of an issue of, okay, if he's going to play guard, we got to rework the stance. That could be an issue. And I remain a Kelvin Banks guy. I don't understand where what's happened with Kelvin Banks, who gave up 3 sacks in 3 seasons at Texas. He was the week 1 left tackle his true freshman season. He's 6'5". He has 33.5-inch arms. So a lot of the negatives that come up with Will Campbell or Josh Simmons or Armand Membo, those don't exist for Kelvin Banks. And yet you read mock drafts and he's being picked in the 20s. I'm going to stand on the hill that he's a top 10 player in this class, and he's going to be a steal if he gets drafted. If he gets drafted by Chicago at 10, I'll think it's a great pick. San Francisco at 11, it'll be a great pick. Someone's going to get a dynamic player if they draft him in the top 20.
It's interesting. Let's dive into this mock draft exercise that you did just today with all those writers. So if Genty is gone by the time the Bears get to 10, and let's say, one of the tackles is gone, and certainly Mason Graham is gone, and certainly Abdul Carter is gone. Like, who else needs to be gone for it to make sense for the Bears to trade down? Because we've heard a lot that this draft, like below what? Below 7, below 8, something like that. That the players between like 8 and 40, there's a lot of right. There's a lot of
I disagree with that range.
Okay,
yeah, I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't trade down, guys. I wouldn't do it. I would not trade down from 10. I think the number one reason is, why would you trade down? Who's coming up? What are they coming up for? Who is trying to jump the San Francisco 49ers at 11? No one, right? And the Bears and Niners have a lot of the same needs. I wouldn't trade out. If Ashton Genty's there, take him. If he's not there, Kelvin Banks, take him. If for some reason he's not there, I would draft Colston Loveland, the tight end from Michigan, and be very, very happy about, now I've got my Sam Laporta. I can run 12 personnel with he and Cole Kmet because I can run 2 tight ends. And you could get a running back with one of those 2 picks in the second round. You can get a defensive end or a defensive tackle with one of those 2 picks in the second round. And I would be whistling happy walking home on Friday night. If you come out of here with Colston Loveland, a running back, and a defensive lineman, it's a pretty dang good draft. I would be very happy about that. And I would say the same. If you get Kelvin Banks at 10, okay, he and Braxton Jones are probably going to have a little bit of a battle. Or maybe you even have the conversation now of, could we trade Braxton Jones, who's about to be in a contract year? Could you get something back for him instead of just a future compensatory selection if you let him walk? You open up a lot of doors for opportunity, and you reset your clock at left tackle. So you're not having to pay a left tackle for 5 more years at this point, maybe 6 with a franchise tag. I would be excited about that possibility. I know that people have said it's a flat draft, it's not a good draft. I'm going to push back against that. I think this is a starter draft, and I do think there are blue chip caliber players who are going to find their way to picks 10, 11, 12, just because we might see teams reach for quarterbacks, or we might see teams reach for pass rushers. That's going to push some good players down.
Do you like Colston Loveland more than you like Tyler Warren?
I do. I think Loveland is a better route runner. I think he's a better blocker, and I think he's a better athlete. And I know folks in Chicago watch a lot of Big Ten football. What you saw last year was Tyler Warren be schemed a ton of opportunities, which is awesome. They was smart. Penn State did a really good job because they didn't have any wide receivers. So it's like, hey, let's scheme our best offensive player a ton of touches, and it led to huge production. I worry a little bit about Tyler Warren being able to find those openings and find that production in the NFL on his own. With Colston Loveland, I have none of those concerns because he is a better route runner and he is a better athlete. At Michigan, he played in the slot, he played in line. He's a very good run blocker from both of those positions. So I like both guys. I'm not going to disparage Tyler Warren. He's a great player. I would just prefer Colston Loveland. I think he's an easier evaluation as you project those skills to the NFL.
Matt, I'd love to know from your experience of being inside of the draft complex on why this happens every single year. We look at the draft and we look at what happened in college football and you go, okay, Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. And then by the time we get to 2 weeks or 3 weeks away from the draft, it's like, well, maybe Jalen Milroe or Tyler Show. Like maybe those guys. Jackson Dart kind of magically appears in mocks. Why does this always happen during the offseason instead of like right at the end of it?
So you're out car shopping and you think you know what car you want, and then you're driving and you see all these other cars and you're like, wait, maybe I want a Jeep, or maybe I want a truck instead, or maybe I want a sports car. NFL teams are doing the same thing with these quarterbacks right now. When you don't love the option, other options are going to catch your eye. And that is what has happened since February. Teams did not fall in love with Shedeur Sanders at the East-West Shrine game. They did not fall in love with him at the NFL Combine. And guess what happened at the Senior Bowl? Oh, Jackson Dart. And then here comes Tyler Shuck. And then at the Combine, it was, well, here comes Jalen Milroe. And maybe here comes Will Howard. And let's not forget about Quinn Ewers. So I think what has happened, guys, is that those teams don't love the option. So they're saying, let's be really thorough and look behind every door and make sure there's not something over here that we like a little bit better than the option that we were presented as, this great, he was supposed to be the number 2 overall pick when we were at the Combine. That was 2 months ago. And you're right. Now, there's definitely a conversation of, will he go 9? Will he go 21? Will he go 26? I mean, it is a massive range for where he could be selected.
Is that different than most years? It feels like every year there's some quarterback that gets talked up into the top 5. I guess we're not seeing that, but we're seeing a couple talked up maybe into the top 15 or top 20.
It's every year. It's Malik Willis, it's Matt Corral, it does feel like Desmond Ridder every year. Last year didn't happen because 6 went in the top 12, so there wasn't that opportunity. I think Bo Nix was the guy that got talked up, but he actually went. So this is a little bit different. I do still think he'll be a first-round pick. And I think he deserves to be a first-round pick. I really do. I mean, his toughness, his accuracy, his field vision, he has tools separate from his name that I think are first-round caliber. And I think we'll ultimately see that play out. But the idea that he was a shoo-in to go 2 or 3, I think that was rooted more in expectation than in reality.
Matt, which coaches by position have you found to be the most honest about their players?
Oh my gosh, like college coaches?
Yeah. Is it the QB
offensive line coaches?
Offensive line coaches?
Offensive line. Yeah, because they're not there for anybody's business. They are very honest. I mean, strength and conditioning coaches are who you want to talk to first because they're with the players the most. They're going to be more honest. They're not really worried about like recruiting and things like that. So I think strength and conditioning is your front line of defense. And then I love offensive line coaches. I think DB coaches are pretty good as well on the defensive side. Like if you can get a good defensive backs coach, especially somebody that's been there a while, they'll be pretty upfront with you. But that part of the game is changing because you got the transfer portal that's open 12 months out of the year, it feels like. And if you upset a player, they're going to hit the portal. So it really has been a changed dynamic to where now coaches have to worry about not upsetting a guy. So after a player leaves college is when you start to get the good stuff because they're no longer trying to recruit to basically keep them in-house.
Matt Miller of ESPN, NFL Draft Scout on Twitter, is the best partner that the Guwagi mission has ever had. I mean, he's pushed it forward. Got a mention last year on the draft. So we need to ask you, who has the best go up and get it skill set among the tight ends or the wide receivers? Like, who is your best Guwagi guy to offer to our listeners right now?
Well, I think Travis Hunter is the poster boy for Guwagi to go up and get it, to be 6 foot, 188 pounds, and he plays every football like he owns the damn thing. I mean, he goes up and there is true ownership of the ball. Ted McMillan would be a solid option as well, 6'4", 220 pounds. I think he would be a runner-up, but it has to be Travis Hunter. No one has ball skills in this draft like he does.
Well, Matt understands that Guwagi is an assortment of specific skills that coalesce to one powerful scouting attribute. That said, I can't help but notice that the Guwagi hat has not been visible in the background.
Why don't you leave this man alone?
It's like right there.
I'm just saying it's.
See?
Oh, it is there. Look at that. It's up top. If you're watching on Twitch, it's beautiful. It's gorgeous.
I'll get it moved down. As soon as we're off, I'm moving it down.
But, I mean, there's a lot of great stuff in your background. The Stephen King collection. Stephen King collection.
The stand.
It's everything. It's like 3 shelves of excellence.
I'm not going to put the books back there that I've never read like everyone else does. Like, I don't need it's like there's a sports writer collection on Amazon you can buy, and it sends you all these really impressive books. Like, no, this is stuff I've actually read. It's the books have been opened.
The history of great sports writing is always there. It's always
Blood,
there.
Sweat, and Chalk.
I don't have
that, but I've actually read that one.
Yeah, that's true.
I've read it multiple times. It's still one of the best books.
I'm just giving you crap about the hat, but it's a beautiful thing that you're on board, and it matters because is there a wide receiver that you like for the Bears somewhere in the middle rounds? Because they could use one. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I like a lot of middle rounds. So you mean like round? You want to go round 4?
Yeah,
round 4 wide receiver.
How about number
Jalen Lane from Virginia Tech?
Yes.
I would really like.
Okay,
like him a lot. I still go to like Pat Bryant from Illinois. I would like him in round 5. I would be okay with Ricky White from UNLV in round 5 or round 6. The weird thing about this receiver class, I think it drops off after round 3. Like there's a decent drop off, and we get to the guys where it's like Tez Johnson, who's the size of my 5th grader. Or we get to Xavier Restrepo, who ran a 4.8 40. There's a pretty good drop-off this year. It's not the super deep wide receiver class like we're used to.
Matt, thanks so much for the time. We appreciate you. Good luck next week.
Appreciate you guys. I'm moving the hat right now.
Okay? Oh, you're unbelievable. I'm telling you, it's the best partner we ever had. It's number 1 right there. I've tried.
Yeah. He's like, I got to get out. I got to get out.
I got to get away from these.